everybody, welcome into another lacrosse recap. Olivia Becker joined by Patrick Strawn, and the Flames are off to an incredible start this year with being 12-0.
Yeah.
With only 2 games left in the season. How do you think the next 2 games are going to go?
Well, I expect probably Flames are looking to potentially win the next 2. Obviously, that is not their goal. More so their goal is to be able to just continue to improve on what they've been able to do, because it's about winning the SCLC championship as well as the national tournament. So if they take a loss of one of these next 2 games and instead then win the SCLC championship or the national tournament, I think they'll take either of those. But obviously going against Tennessee, that's a team that the Flames should be able to defeat here on their last home game. And well, I know we'll touch more about that. But then the rivalry between Virginia Tech, that's going to be the one that is going to pave the way or potentially see who's going to come out as the regional champ. Going against the Hokies, that's always a fun game, and obviously this time it will be in Blacksburg, so it should be an exciting one. 2 teams that will probably be in the top 10 of the nation by the time these 2 meet, so it'll be interesting to see. But I think the Flames could come away with 2 wins and maybe make it a 14-0 regular season.
And I guess before we talk a little bit more of the next 2 games, let's look back at the games. The men's lacrosse midnight game.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think about that game?
Well, obviously, it's always a fun, packed-filled crowd and a fun atmosphere. As we touched on it before when we did the original preview, how it's always one of the premier events in the MCLA, and obviously the Flames all came out and didn't disappoint against a very strong Minnesota team who's number 24 in the country. Flames were able to get their offense rolling. We didn't see any of that third quarter lull that we've seen sometimes come from them, and really executed the game plan perfectly. They really put on a great show in front of a really packed crowd, and were able to just get scoring from top to bottom, so many different levels. And then obviously sound defensive play really stifled the Gophers' top potent offensive weapons, and were able to come out with another win to improve 7-0 in the midnight game.
And following the midnight game, the Flames had a pretty short turnaround as they played Sunday against George Washington. How do you think they did in that game, moving their record to 12-0?
Well, obviously, I think that was a game that was almost perfect execution of the game plan, because they were able to complete their benchmark as far as most goals they've scored this season. We're able to put up 24 on George Washington, and I think that's a phenomenal feat. So many different guys, once again, contributing in the scoring column. A lot of depth was being showed in that game. Obviously worked around a lot of different guys. I think for the Flames, it was just kind of rolling and doing what they've been doing all season long, is really padding the stat sheet and also the scoreboard. So great job by the Flames being able to move to 12-0, first time in Division I, and I think it's going to pave the way for them, hopefully continue generating momentum, as we touched on it earlier, going into these last 2 games of the regular season, especially 2 key games, because not only their conference matchup, but even more importantly, their region games.
And they go into their final home game for senior night, playing Tennessee. What do you think they're going to have to do to continue and hopefully end the season undefeated?
Well, I think they're hoping to be able to end the season with the last home game against Tennessee Vols, especially for the seniors. Some guys that have been some key building blocks and also key on the success that the Flames have been able to have this season. Can't really go across the board because there's so many different guys who've just been able to contribute for this Flames club throughout the past years. I know Coach McQuillan and all the rest of the coaching staff are really thankful for what these guys have been able to bring to the table, and I think the Flames are going to reward them with hopefully not only getting a dub against Tennessee, but hopefully it's going to pave the way for these guys to be able to come away with a SCLC championship that we see in 2 weeks' time, and then also maybe even the grand prize, winning a national title as well.
Well, Pat, thanks again for your insight. Make sure you guys tune in for the last broadcast of the season, Friday at 7:30 p.m. against Tennessee. For Patrick Strawn, I'm Olivia Becker.